So today we'll be taking a look at the King's 120 watt solar blanket. I've owned this for just shy of 2 years now, so I think I'm in a pretty good position to give it a proper review. So the solar blanket costs $305 when I bought it 2 years ago. It comes with a blanket obviously, also comes with the regulator, and also the alligator clips all plugged in with the Anderson plugs. Also got the optional 10 metre lead with it as well, so all up I think it's about 16 metres of lead. So the first pro of this solar blanket would be the price point. At $305 it's pretty hard to beat. The second pro, and one of the reasons why I went for the solar blanket, is because of how small it packs up to. So that doesn't take up a lot of room at all, it's quite compact. So the third pro for us is that I can either plug it into the car battery or I can use it on the camper battery for a bit of extra power. So that versatility just helps out a lot. Now the fourth pro is that you can actually use the solar blanket as a sun visor for your windshield. So that comes in pretty handy, does two things at once. Okay, so that's got the regulator, both extension leads in there, and the panel. So that comes in at 6.4 kilos. So I'd definitely say the weight's another pro for this panel. She's nice and light. So if we're parked up for a day, the solar blanket can quite comfortably keep our 12 volt fridge running all day. And it also puts in enough power to top the battery up for the nighttime run as well. So yeah, basically it does the job that we want it to, so we're quite happy with it in that regard. So I'll just give you a quick look at how the solar blanket attaches to the battery. So first up, you want to put your alligator clips onto the battery like so. You could actually hardwire this connection to your battery if you wanted to, and mount the Anderson plug down here somewhere easy to get to. Okay, so now we plug in the solar regulator. You've got a little logo down here as to which one goes where. So the one on the left, that goes to the solar blanket, and the one on the right goes to the battery. So I'll plug that in. See on the screen of the regulator, gives you the battery voltage and the percent of how far your battery is charged. Once we plug that into the solar blanket, it'll actually tell you on here that the solar blanket is putting charge into the battery. Once you got that connected to the battery and the regulator's plugged in, I just close the bonnet down, and then we can plug in the lead and move the solar blanket to wherever you need it. So my solar blanket came with a 4.5 metre lead, and I also optioned it up and got the 10 metre lead as well. To be honest, if I bought it again, I probably wouldn't bother with the 10 metre lead. Just personally, I haven't really used it a whole lot. So that just shows the screen, and you can tell that the solar panel's charging the battery because you can see this little arrow flicking here. So that's just an indicator to let you know that it's working. Okay, so that's what the solar blanket looks like with the 4.5 metre lead attached. So in my opinion, that's plenty. You don't need the 10 metre extension. So this just gives you an idea of the solar blanket with the 10 metre lead and the 4.5 metre lead plugged in. I can't really see too many scenarios where you'd need to run that long a lead. So I've only really got the one con with this solar blanket, and I'm going to say it's the finish on the panels. So I've always tried to keep them pretty clean and keep sand off and all that kind of stuff, but even if you get a thin layer of dust when you pack them up, and you're traveling, it seems to rub through the top coating on the panels. It hasn't really affected the way the solar panel works. It's probably just more of a cosmetic thing, but I'd expect on the more expensive panels that you'd have a better finish on the actual panel itself. Another thing to note, when I bought the panel, one of these wires in the back of the regulator here, it wasn't, the screw on the top that locks it down wasn't tightened up, so right off the bat it wasn't working. Didn't take long for me to notice that wire was out and reconnect it, but yeah, just something to be aware of if you do buy one of these. That might be a problem you'll encounter. So on the regulator, you'll notice there's a couple of USB points that you can plug into. You can charge your phone, things like that with it. We've used this quite a few times and it's quite a handy little thing to have. So the overall construction of the panel is not too bad. It's held up pretty well with the exception of the coating on top of each individual panel. I have noticed that the canvas has faded a little bit from being out in the sun, but that's kind of to be expected as well. So on both sides of the panel you have 4 of these little tabs. They're quite handy if you make up some hooks and you can hang it off your roof rack. So where the wire's attached to the solar blanket seems to be quite robust. Had no issues with it at all. Seems to be quite well built. I can see a tiny bit of stitching coming undone there, but I think that's about the only place where it's done it. So the King's 120 watt solar blanket, would I recommend it? Look, for the price point, it's pretty hard to beat. At $300, I've got nearly 2 years of use out of it and it's still going strong. The only thing that's really let it down is the finish on the panels, like I talked about before. Besides that, it's been very reliable. So look, if you're in the market for one, I'd recommend this product. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this review helpful, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.